Hello, you're welcome again to another session of Cloud CompTIA. In today's video, I'll be talking about subnet mask. But before we talk about the subnet mask, let's know what an IP address is. An IP address is a unique identifier that every device needs to communicate on a network. For every device to be on a network, it needs to be identified by a particular ID, which is like the IP address. So when I talk about IP address, I'm talking about IPv4. With an IPv4, you're able to do your subnetting, like dividing your network into subnetwork. And with that IP address, you can easily refer it as the IPv4 address, which is a 32-bit number written as 4 octets, separated by periods, and each octet ranges from 0 to 255. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the next stage, which is an IP address part. An IP address has two parts: the network ID, which identifies the network, and then the host ID, which identifies individual devices like the computers, servers, and routers within that same network. With that, which now is the subnet mask. The subnet mask shows which part of an IP address that the network is. You have the network, which is and the host. It looks like an IP address, but works by masking the network portion. Like on this particular example now, you have the 255.255.255.0. This is an example of a subnet mask. So the next thing on this agenda on the subnet mask is the IP address and subnet mask. As you can see, for every IP address, there is a binary format that it represents. Like you a bit aware of networking. Computers don't read IP addresses or subnet masks in decimal format. They read them in binary using the ones and zeros, and these ones and zeros are called bits. So in this particular IP address and subnet mask, each have their own binary values. Like the octet bit chart. So how do we get the binary values from an IP address or subnet mask? We use an 8-bit octet chart where each bit has a value starting from the right. Then the first bit is worth 1, and each step to the left doubles up to 128. Like you add 1 to this one, it gives 2. To this 2 gives 4. 4 to this 4 gives 8, up to the level of 128. So to convert the 192 to binary, you still need to use the octet chart. You first of all place the ones under the numbers that add up to 192, and the 192 can be gotten from 128 and 64, and the zeros under the rest. This gives the binary version of 192. So next, for 168, you need to place ones under 128, 32, and 8, and zeros under the rest. So the total will give you 168. For 1, just put 1 in the first slot. Then for 0, all bits are 0. This gives the full binary version of our IP address. The subnet mask converts to binary the same way. The first 3 octets are 255, so all ones, and the last octet is 0. So all are in zeros format. With the IP address as subnet mask in binary, the ones in the subnet mask show the network portion and the zeros show the host portion. Crossing out the IP digits under the ones reveals that the first 3 octets are the network and the last octet is the host. Now, the next thing we want to talk about now is subnetting. Subnetting is more like you having a sub-network within a particular network, and it could be 2 or up to more. So IP addresses have network and host parts, and subnetting divides a network into smaller or logical subnet. Here we have the IP addresses classes. IP address comes in 5 classes, A to E, but only A, B, C are used commercially. you can identify the class from the first octet and the default subnet mask. Like you have here now, you have your range. The class is A to E, the ranges from 0 to 255, and the default subnet mask, like the 255.0.0.0. Subnet mask can also be written using CIDR. CIDR, that is CIDR, meaning the classless interdomain routers. This extend the use of IPv4 IP addresses or slash notation. It simply uses a slash followed by the number of the ones in the subnet mask. For example, /124 means /124 means that the IP address has 24 bits long. So that's pretty much how one can go about subnetting in subnet mask. So we'll talk about the subnet mask, the subnetting, and IP addresses. And in the next video, we're going to dive deep into what aspect of networking you can configure using Azure cloud and AWS cloud services. Until then, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, for which I'll be releasing more content like this. Thank you and bye for now.